talking about the peace summit in Switzerland during this weekend. Will
Yes.
it bring peace between Ukraine and Russia? Because at the end of the day, Russia is not invited to the summit. So to what extent can the summit contribute to peace in Ukraine?
Okay, you're absolutely right. Russia has not been invited, and so this peace summit will not bring peace. But the intention of having this summit is actually to build up support for Ukraine and Ukraine's allies. The fact on the situation now is that Ukraine feels that maybe the global south, the developing countries, are not coming in to support in strength that they had hoped to see. And so this is an opportunity to more or less introduce the proposal that Zelensky had made. It was a 10-point formula back in 2022. That proposal had been rejected by the Russians, mainly because of the demand for Russia to pull all of Russian troops out of Ukraine, as well as the demand for justice to be done to those who had committed war crimes, so trials and all that. So Russia has rejected the proposal, and now back in the back of the organizers' minds, especially Ukraine, the ideal situation is to get more support from countries in Africa, countries in Asia, countries in Latin America for the peace proposal that he had made. Now, since it was a 10-part peace proposal, they realized that it would be hard for such a conference to accept the proposal in one go. So they have actually pulled out easier parts of the proposals for participants to be able to feel comfortable enough to come up with an agreement. So one would be the nuclear security, the other one would be food security, and the third one would be the call for the return of those who have been held captives, especially the children who had been abducted by Russian troops and actually sent across the border to Russia. So these are the three key elements that will be under discussion, will be in focus. The idea is not actually to negotiate peace, because if you negotiate peace, you need the other side to be present and to participate in the negotiation. That should come next. But for this time, the goal is to consolidate support for Ukraine from the global south. And Ukraine thinks that it can enhance its bargaining power, its negotiating power, when it comes time to negotiate with Russia. And they're planning actually to have another summit, maybe in Saudi Arabia in the next few months. For that summit, the plan is to actually invite Russia to enter into negotiations. So this is the consolidation of support from the Ukrainian side.
According to the Foreign Ministry, Vice Minister Ratcharijan will represent the country.
Yes.
So how should Thailand set its position in this summit?
Well, it's a very, very delicate situation. You know, the organizers are counting two things. They're counting how many countries will be attending. Invitations had been issued. Invitations had been issued to 160 countries by Switzerland. Now, the background of this is that Switzerland is hosting and organizing this conference at the initiative or even at the request of Ukraine. So a very interesting situation. Now, so they will look into how many out of 160 invitations will actually come to attend. That's one. And then the second one, the conference is called the summit. And a summit means that the heads of government or heads of state should lead the delegation. So they will look into how many heads of government will be coming to the conference too. But they also would welcome political level participations from around the world. If countries are not able to send the head of government, then maybe someone who would be at the political level. And for Thailand, it was a delicate consideration because we don't want to go at the head of government level because it would probably be sending a too strong a signal against Russia. Remember that we have a policy which calls for the balance between our relations with the Russians as well as to the West. We are actually happily in a position to have good relations with both sides. So to send someone who is actually at the political level but lower than a cabinet rank, just below the cabinet rank, was a good idea. And the vice minister, as you know, in Thailand, the vice minister is not part of the cabinet, but he will be traveling as the representative of the prime minister. Now, in addition to that, Singapore has a similar idea. Singapore is sending the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, which is equivalent more or less to vice minister in the terminology that we use. And the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs as opposed to Minister of Foreign Affairs, very different. So the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs from Singapore will be traveling as the representative of the heads of government from Singapore. Philippines, it's the advisor to the president. So the advisor to the president will be traveling as representative of the president. Now for the rest of ASEAN, I heard that many wanted to participate too, and had the assumption that they can actually participate at the ambassadorial level. So they proposed to the Swiss that the ambassadors will attend as heads of their delegations. The Swiss came back and told them that no, that's not possible. They would not accept an ambassadorial level representation. They want higher than that. So that is why many countries then have not been able to join this conference.
So the vice minister is a good choice because we have to balance between the main rivals in this conflict, right?
It's a good choice in that we can actually convey to Europeans that we are in support of the Europeans of this conference, and of course we are against the violation of international law, against the invasion of one country by another, against war, so to speak. And so that's a good message. But then we're not going at the highest level. It's a good message that we can explain to the other side that, okay, we are still balanced and we will look at each situation as they come. So we are not fully committed. If the other side thinks that this conference was geared up to be against it, against Russia, well, we're not fully with that. And we hope that we can play a constructive role in the future.
And what is the implication of Thailand's participation in this summit to ASEAN and the world?
I think it's good in the sense that it will show that Thailand is interested in contributing to solving international problems. And in addition to that, the participation will enable Thailand to have a role in maybe helping Ukraine. Looking at the agenda, food security is one area where Thailand can contribute in concrete terms. So that would be good. So it's just to participate, not to be fully committed to one side against the other, is something that is appropriate for this conference, for Thailand to have a good decision in this case.
Last week, Defense Minister Kun Sutin Phangsang stated in Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore that Thailand is pleased to be a mediator to cultivate a friendly atmosphere in the region. So, can the participation in this summit lead Thailand's role to that goal?
Well, first of all, that goal is a goal that I have envisioned many years back for Thailand, because it's important for Thailand to play constructive roles in mediating or helping to settle international problems, problems that may not be too close to Thailand, but a global problem, and we can play a role. So what I had envisioned then, and I started to implement that, was the Korean Peninsula. So I had built up trust sufficiently for Thailand in North Korea as well as in the US and the rest of the participants of the six-party talks. We were able to help bridge the gap when the six-party talks couldn't move forward. I was able to quietly convince the North Koreans to go back. So that's the role that Thailand should play, and that's really the heart of soft power. Because if you can actually convince others to do what you would like them to do, and it's for peace, then your stature increases and you can actually negotiate many things in a much easier fashion. So that is a good policy for Thailand to try to pursue. This conference would not lead directly to that, because we are going as a participant among about, they invited 160, they expected 100 to attend, 110 at first, maybe less now. So we'll be one of the 70 or 80 or 90 countries there. So I don't expect too much to happen. We can maybe have short interventions, 1 or 2 or 3 minutes, impromptu. There won't be a national statement like that, at least not during the conference. They're actually allowing some countries to have national statements taped, but the actual discussions will be impromptu, like what we're doing now. And if we wanted to say something constructive, we can. But it's very short, about 100 participants, you're not, over the weekend, you're not going to have too much. But it's building contacts and networking and showing the world that we care for problems, even problems that are far away from Thailand.
Thank you very much.
Sure.